Hey guys, welcome back. So today we're out at the range to take a rifle out of the vault and shoot it. It's kind of an oddity. It's a pre-ban rifle, and if this series is popular enough, we'll continue to do videos like this occasionally, where we'll bring out some rare pre-ban firearm or something that's a little bit different or out of the norm for today's consumer market. This rifle that we're going to talk about this afternoon is the Valmet Model 78, chambered in .308, which is an AK type action, and was the inspiration for other rifles such as the Israeli Galil. But before we get into all that, guys, if you enjoy the content that we produce here at the Military Arms channel, please take a moment to like, share, and subscribe to the channel and comment down below. We enjoy reading those comments and it helps us with the algorithms. With all that being said, let's get started with today's video and check out this Model 78 from the vault. Guys, please swing by and check out Big Daddy Unlimited, BDU. They help support us here at the Military Arms channel with products and things like that so we can continue to bring you content. There's a link in the video description down below that'll take you to the Mac blog and website. Please follow that link, and from there you'll find a link to Big Daddy Unlimited and try them out just for 99 cents. You can see what they're all about. In essence, they're just like a big online store that has amazing prices. So please, again, check out BDU. Valmet is out of Finland, and before the '89 import ban, rifles like this were flowing into the country. And Valmet manufactured quite a number of rifles that were specifically for the civilian market, and this is one of those rifles. This one is chambered in .308 Winchester, and it is an RPK. Now, what's really interesting about the Valmet, if you go back and watch the original, not the remake, the original Red Dawn, you'll see that they were using a 7.62x39 Valmet RPK in that movie. If you go back and watch the movie, I believe Commando, Arnold Schwarzenegger also used a Valmet 7.62x39 RPK. This one is chambered, like I said, in .308, features wood furniture, but you could also find Valmets, obviously, with polymer furniture that would be much like the pistol grip here. This rifle has a heavy barrel on it. It has a RPK style stock, but the wood is absolutely gorgeous on these guns. And it's different in a number of different ways from your regular RPK that you might see from Romania or from Russia and things like that. And we're going to take it apart and show you some of those differences that makes this gun rather unique in the AK world. So with that being said, let's fire off 10 rounds of some ammunition here for you guys so you can get an idea of what this thing shoots like. It's a real pussycat, very mild recoil. Unlike some of the RPKs I've shot have a tendency to bump fire from a rest. This gun does not, has a nice trigger in it. And yeah, it's a very, very cool gun. But before we start talking about the features, let's do a little bit of shooting with it. Charge the bad boy up, and let's beat up that 100-yard challenge target. It has a very, very coarse sight picture. We'll talk more about that here in a moment, but let's see if I can hit that 100, or I'm actually, that's a 200-yard challenge target. Solid hit there. Let's go out to 250. I think I pulled that one. That was a solid hit. Oh, I am set for 300. No wonder. So let's go to 300. Oh, I'm out of ammo. All right. Almost made it to 300. We'll get to 300 before the end of the video. So next, let's take the gun apart and talk about some of the features of the Model 78 and why it's different than other RPKs that you would find on the market. Current production guns like the Romanian RPKs that are brought in by Century Arms. Let's take the Model 78 apart and look at some of the features that set this apart from other rifles of its type. First, I'm going to go ahead and unload the rifle. We have a mag release over here that has a tab sticking out on the right-hand side, which favors a right-handed shooter, but you can also with your left hand reach up and release the magazine just like a normal AK. Next, I'm going to go ahead and make sure that chamber is empty, and we're all good. The rifle features a milled receiver. This is not an AKM type firearm with a stamped receiver, so it is a milled receiver. Taking it apart is just like a standard AK. Push in, take your top cover off. We have a recoil spring and guide rod. However, it is not captive like most AKs on the market. We take the bolt and carrier out, pull it to the rear just like a standard AK. and you'll see a couple of different things. First of all, we have this Valmet style gas piston. It has a rather small head, has this large star back here, and then we have the bolt. Now it disassembles just like a standard AK, but you're going to notice the bolt is different. If you take a look at the bolt, look at the locking lugs. Have a big lug here, and then we have this large surface over here, and then the cam up here. So the bolt is bigger, heavier than a standard 7.62x39 bolt. It looks a little bit awkward when you look at it. It's rather unconventional. Taking the gas tube out of it, unlike other AKs where you flip up a lever to release the gas tube, you just pull back and the gas tube comes out. Here's another oddity about the firearm. Look at how the rear sight is welded to the gas tube. Now the gas tube is held in place by the gas block up here, which it engages with when it's pushed home. The top cover pushes on the gas tube to keep it locked into place, and in the rear of the gas tube we have little slots that dovetail into the front trunnion there that hold it in the rear. And again, the top cover presses against the rear of it and holds it all together. But you can see how that rear sight is integrated into the gas tube. Now it's incremented from 100 to 500 meters, and it has a very coarse sight picture. Looking inside, it's pretty much standard AK fare. Moving out here, it does have a carrying handle, and the carrying handle is a little bit different in that it's spring loaded. So it will always, when you release it, go back to the stored position. On most RPKs, the carrying handle just kind of stays where you leave it because it doesn't have a spring forcing it back home. The bipod legs are held in place by a little sheet metal tab. You can push in on them, and then the bipod deploys, and that's pretty normal. It looks a little bit different than most RPKs, but it's fairly normal. Has the spikes on the feet, so you can get a good bite into the ground and push it into the gun for full auto fire, even though this is just a semi-automatic rifle. Storing the bipod legs, easy enough to do. The front sight and the rear sight are different than pretty much other AKs on the market. The front sight on this has two positions. It folds, and so we have a white dot, and I believe at one point that was tritium in there that you can flip over for a night sight. Yeah, it's a tritium vial. It's just gone dead. It's gone past its half-life, but the tritium vial's dead. Then you can just flip it over, and it has just a standard square, rather broad front sight. Elevation cannot be adjusted on the front sight like on other AKs or RPKs. That's done with the rear sight. But the front sight has an FAL style adjustment for windage. So you loosen one screw on one side, tighten the screw on the other, and there's some detents there, and you drift this front sight base on its base left and right to get your windage set. To set the elevation on the rifle, you take a flathead screwdriver, loosen this screw, and then once you do that, you just slide the rear sight up and down. It has a little tick mark, and you just slide this up and down to where you want it, and then tighten the screw down. Not exactly what I would consider to be a military type rear sight, using screws and things like that. They would walk out in combat or field conditions. Again, this gun was primarily made for the civilian market. This doesn't have your standard Finish or Valmet style rear sight on the dust cover, which is interesting to note. A departure from their other designs. And then just pop that top cover on just like that. And being a milled receiver and of good quality, Valmet always made a nice rifle. It just feels like it's on ball bearings. A very, very smooth action. You'll also note that it does have a heavy profile barrel. And then it has a flash suppressor out here, and this is a bayonet lug just underneath the flash suppressor. So those are the basic features of the gun that kind of set it apart from other RPKs on the market. As I said, this thing has a very mild recoil impulse. It's not wildly overgassed like many AKs are, and it's truly a pleasure to shoot. The wood furniture is absolutely beautiful. It gives you a large surface area here for your shoulder, so recoil is really mitigated considerably by the weight of the rifle and by the large surface area of the butt plate that goes into your shoulder. it all adds up to a very, very pleasant shooting 308. And this is a very cool example. I haven't seen a whole lot of the Model 78s around. They don't pop up for sale very often. I honestly don't even know what they're worth. You just have to kind of get online and look around and see what one sold for previously. If you're looking for a Valmet, ironically, a friend of mine who is also a YouTuber, Hank Strange, actually sent us a text while we're out here shooting video today, and he was asking me if I knew where to find a Valmet RK62. I took a picture of this. It's like, it's kind of ironic you would send me a text message asking about an obscure Valmet rifle when I'm actually shooting a video about one. But I digress. Let's do some more shooting with the gun. Well, guys, we're going to try now to hit a challenge target at 300 yards using some 150 grain Federal ammunition. I have my rear sight set to the proper range, I believe. And let's see if I can get some lucky hits here. Finding magazines for Valmet rifles, regardless of the caliber, with the exception of 7.62x39, which will use a standard AK mag, finding magazines for the rifles can be very difficult. So the magazines that you see here for this rifle look like M14 magazines, and it was common to modify M14 magazines to work in the Model 78. I've seen magazines, like I've said, that look like G3 magazines, and then there's the standard Finish magazines that have an extra piece of sheet metal up here with, you can see resistance welds on it and things like that. So you'll see them with different magazines depending on what the owner of the original owner or earlier owners of the gun purchased for them. And in this case, it's a bunch of apparently modified M14 magazines. I hope you guys enjoyed taking a look at the Valmet Model 78. It's a classic that's no longer being manufactured or imported. And if you want one of them, you're just going to have to poke around on the internet until you find one. If you guys enjoy our content, please take the time to subscribe. Also, if you would like to support us here at the Military Arms channel so we can continue to bring you content like this, please swing by and check out our Patreon page. There's a link in the video description below. Over on Patreon, I answer all private communications, so that means you get direct access to me. We do blog posts. You get early access to videos like this, among other perks. Again, the link to Patreon is down below in the video description. Also, right here on YouTube, there's a little join button underneath the video player you're watching right now. Give it a click, mash it, and consider supporting us here on YouTube. And last but not least, guys, please swing by and check out coppercustom.com. Thank you for 13 years of support, and we'll talk to you guys soon.